Hello, 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 and welcome to another conversation. This is the Conversation with Stevie. I am Dr. Stevie Aisha Mills, and I love having conversations. Yes, what I do in the world is to help Christian women get seen and get paid online. And this show, The Conversation with Stevie, is the place where we uncover the why behind what people do. So, as you know, we are smack in the middle of the It Factor Affair edition of The Conversation. We've been having some incredible conversations with the incredible people who are bringing the It Factor Affair to life, and I'm super excited to bring you another special guest. So, hello. Today we have Najuma. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
Doing good. So glad to have you with us. Please do go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Najuma Thorpe, and I am a cultural ambassador is what I will call myself. I've been working in communications for about 25 years, and over that time I've kind of developed an expertise in the intersection of culture and communications. So, of course, we'll get into that at some point, but I really enjoy helping people understand and appreciate culture. I think we all exist in various different cultures. We don't recognize how that affects our day-to-day life and, more importantly, our interactions with other people. So that's why I'm looking to help people and organizations understand, realize, and then work toward plans of how to deal with those different dynamics.
I love that, and specifically because when people think of culture, I think they think so much of different, the Indian culture or the African culture or those different ones that we have in our world. But I think, right, that it goes beyond that in so many ways. We have workplace culture, church culture. So can you break it down a little bit for us to know exactly what are the different types of cultures that you deal with?
Yep, absolutely, Dr. Stevie. You hit the nail on the head. When people think culture, especially from an interpersonal perspective, you think some sort of demographic culture, so your ethnicity or your age, but there's so much, everything is so much deeper than that. And the other misconception about culture is that people think that culture is monolithic. But it's impossible for culture to be monolithic because each individual person operates in any number of cultures. So I am a Black corporate woman. That's 3 different cultures right there in and of itself. And that's just one small snippet of who I am. So, yes, it goes way deeper than surface level. And in order to work within this, you have to understand some of those interplays, which cultures rise to the top, whether you're in the workplace, whether you're dealing with your significant other, whether you're with your family. Humans are complicated individuals. And in trying to make things easier for people to understand, people tend to box cultures in. But again, culture is not monolithic. It's a dynamic. I like to think of it as a quilt. So if you imagine a patchwork quilt, you can tell that it's a framework there, but there may be a drop stitch over here. There may be a pattern that's a little bit different from here, but you can tell that it's an overall framework. So as long as you can see that overall framework and there's going to be individual cultures within that framework, you have to appreciate all of that.
I love that, and thank you so much for that analogy. Yes. And what do you think is the strongest point that we, in the different cultures you spoke of, specifically, but also in all the cultures, what is that thing that we can serve together to communicate better?
I think it goes back to appreciation. Sometimes we communicate as we want to hear things, but if you do that, then you'll miss your audience in a lot of ways. So you have to appreciate where the other person is coming from, where your audience is coming from. And again, these skills transfer to workplace, they transfer to interpersonal. Understanding if you're, again, I do corporate communications and marketing for a Fortune 500 company. So if I'm working on a marketing campaign, I have to understand what culture influences and motivations are happening with my audience. If I'm talking to my mother, I have to understand what culture and motivations are that she's coming from. And you have to tailor, if you want to be understood, you have to tailor your message to your audience.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love that because, I'm even thinking about it from the standpoint of us here, like me being in North Carolina in the South. That's a whole different type of culture, and really understanding that, and really understanding the fact of who we are and why we are and what comes into that as it becomes that. So when people get their marketing messages across, right, how do you think we can stand out better when we market our businesses and our brands? What are some of the things that you think are allowing people to stand out, specifically when we're transitioning from so much online, right, to now becoming more hybrid of a nature? A lot of people are still doing hybrid events. Everyone's coming out of their homes now. How, as a business, can we get in front of the right people?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm going to use something you said and kind of turn into a little bit of a story. You mentioned that you're from the South in North Carolina, as am I. I've lived in other places, but I am a North Carolinian born and bred. I'm a Tar Heel born, bred, dead, as we say. So I fully appreciate that. And yet when I was earlier in my career, and I didn't even notice myself doing this consciously, I noticed I would morph myself out from my own individualness, and some of the things that I morphed out was my southernness. So as I got older and had a different appreciation, I stopped morphing that out as much. Now, again, sometimes you got to code switch, and to my earlier point, you have to make sure that you're communicating in a way that your audience understands, but not at the expense of your own individuality. So I will let my y'alls come out. I will let my twang come out. I will throw in southernisms. So to how this answers your question, part of what you can do to differentiate yourself and make yourself stand out is to be yourself. So understand yourself, understand your own motivations, understand the cultures that you operate in, and then when you're communicating that to your audience or to potential customers or what have you, you can work those interlays a little bit better because you're coming from that core understanding of yourself.
That is perfect. That is perfect. So we have a signature question here on the Conversation with Stevie, and it goes like this. It's a fill-in-the-blank question, and we have got to ask it before we run out of time. So listen, the question goes like this. Dr. Stevie, we cannot leave the conversation today without everyone knowing, and then fill in the blank with whatever you feel is on your heart to let them know.
We cannot leave let me back up. Dr. Stevie, we cannot leave the conversation today without everyone understanding that culture is not monolithic. You have to understand that there are so many different influences that play into how culture works. We also got to remember that everyone has different motivations, and that feeds into your culture. So if you can understand someone's motivations, then you can figure out how to communicate to them.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And another question I have for you, specifically because I understand that you have partnered with me. I'm so grateful for the partnership, your time, effort, talent, all of those things, your treasure, everything. So what was the defining factor that you said, yes, I want to be part of It Factor Affair?
I really appreciate how you're helping Christian women. And I just think that's one particular culture that is always dynamic, and it's always a good group to be around. It's a good group to listen from and learn from. So while I'm coming at this from as a presenter's perspective, I'm hoping that I'm able to impart something on people to think about, but I know also that I'm going to walk away learning something. I'm going to walk away with things that are going to help me build my business and help me find direction in my business. So I feel like it's just going to be such a mutually beneficial use of time and, frankly, quite enjoyable. These things are fun. Just like we could probably talk about communications for a whole another 15 or 30 minutes, it's going to be a similar situation when we're at the It Factor event.
I definitely agree because my background is in public relations, so it's so much that's changed over the years. So we definitely could talk about that forever. And we may have to get into some of that communication talk as it comes to really positioning yourself and the It Factor. So y'all need to come and connect with us there. But before we do that, we got to get your contact information so they can connect with you prior to.
Yes, indeed. You can find me on Instagram at Najuma Ventures. That's Najuma Ventures. I'm also on Twitter at just plain old Najuma, so at Najuma. Those are going to be my main channels for communicating. Hopefully, feel free to shoot me a request. I'm happily gaining followers.
Yes, I love that. I love that name. Najuma is so beautiful. Like, yes. What does it mean? I'm just curious.
It means abounding in joy.
Yes, that's awesome. Yes. And I'm always like, prayers abound. Like, the word abound is so beautiful. So I'm excited about this. Listen, y'all don't want to miss the opportunity to be in the presence of this abounding, joyful woman. I'm just trying to tell y'all what I know. So you want to make sure that, first off, we have to tell Najuma, thank you. Thank you so much for being here and having this conversation. We're excited to meet you in person at the It Factor Affair, even though we met before, but all of them, they need to meet you.
We can re-meet. It's been a while since we've been in person, so we can re-meet.
Yes. I love it. I love it. I love it. So everyone, make sure that you come to the It Factor Affair. It is going to be an intimate experience that's going to put you smack dab in the presence of so many thought leaders, so many coaches, so many amazing people who I just think are incredible all in one space. So like we said here, it's going to be something where we can grow and learn and develop together. We want to see you. You can go to itfactoruniversity.com, itfactoruniversity.com to get all the juicy details and, of course, to register. So I am excited that we've communicated, right, in this expressive way today. I cannot wait to communicate with you all further. I want to tell you to make it a great day. Don't have a great day. Make it a great day. Why? Because you, and yes, you too have the power to do so. Bye for now.